a deadly embrace suffocates, turning the hunter into prey in an instant. Amidst a maze and the torn-up rules of survival at the last minute, who will fall beneath the river? The deadly embrace of the ancient forest. Giant anaconda constricts Caiman crocodile. The dawn in the Amazon basin brings no warmth. It only reveals the most brutal hidden corners. Amidst the tangled roots of mangrove trees like the fingers of death, the murky water swirls, carrying prehistoric ghosts. This is the Pantanal, the world's largest wetland, where every square meter of water can hold a death sentence. The wind doesn't blow, the leaves don't rustle. The entire forest seems to hold its breath, witnessing a great change of power. Beneath a fallen ancient tree, the black Caiman crocodile, a living fossil that has survived millions of years of geological upheaval, lies. This is not simply a reptile. It is a masterpiece of evolution in terms of strength and defense. Possessing a height that can reach over 5 meters and weighing half a ton, the Caiman appears as a mobile armored fortress. Its entire body is covered in thick, horny scales, as black as coal. The most fearsome weapon of this giant lies in its jaws, possessing the power of a hydraulic press. With dozens of sharp, crooked teeth, it doesn't tear flesh in the usual way, but crushes its prey. Once those jaws close, they are strong enough to break a turtle's shell or crush bones. But just below the water's surface, a colossal black shadow is undulating like an underwater current. The green anaconda, a sea monster that needs no fangs to kill. Its entire body, weighing nearly 300 kilograms, is a mass of pure muscle, designed to perform only one task: to obliterate life. The silence is shattered in an instant. Caiman had just sensed a strange surge of pressure. Then, the water surface exploded. The anaconda shot up like a steel spring compressed to its limit. Its thick, slippery black coils slammed down on Caiman's spiky armor. The battle instantly turned into a mudslide. Caiman thrashed wildly, its powerful tail lashing against the water's surface with deafening roars. It tried to open its mouth to find a weak point in its enemy's body. But the anaconda was too fast, too close. The coils of bulging muscles began to tighten with each breath Caiman took. This was the death embrace of the jungle. The more it struggled, the faster death came. Each time the crocodile exhaled a desperate breath, the python tightened its grip even more. Everything seemed set for a feast. The tightly constricting muscles suddenly loosened. Anaconda, with its keen brain, recognized a dangerous signal. A split-second decision. A deep dive into the river, leaving its enemy stunned. Death was at its throat. But why was the Caiman released at the last minute? What awaited the python beyond the water? And what would it do to satisfy its gnawing hunger? The female anaconda needed energy, and it needed a more solid meal. It slithered through the muddy swamps, heading towards the flooded grasslands, where a family of capybaras, the largest rodents, were calmly grazing. Its target was a nearly 70 kilograms capybara alpha male. Unlike the armored plating of a crocodile, the capybara had only thick fur and soft muscles. A perfect target to accumulate energy for the arduous journey ahead. There was no prolonged struggle. The anaconda attacked like a black lightning bolt from beneath the water hyacinths. A swift, locking bite, and instantly the deadly coils reappeared. But this time, there was no error. The hunt ended in the silence of the twilight meadow. The python began its classic digestive process, its jaws opening to an absurd degree, swallowing its prey into its stomach filled with potent acid. It needed this meal not to satisfy its immediate hunger, but to prepare for a new chapter in its life. Time in the Amazon is measured by the rising water level. When the first rains of the season wash away the dry dust of the dry season, the Pantanal begins to transform. This is the season of life, a time when every beat of the jungle is focused on a single purpose: reproduction. For the anaconda, this is when the call of instinct rises stronger than ever. After several weeks of rest, to fully digest the enormous energy from its prey, the capybara, the female anaconda has now reached its peak physiological state. Its old skin has shed, revealing a new, dark, shimmering coat like marble beneath the water's surface. The endocrine glands begin to function at full capacity, producing a special hormone called pheromone. This is not just a scent. It is an invisible but powerful biological map. As the female slithers through the waterlogged meadows, trails of pheromones cling to the mud, the leaves, and dissolve into the water, sending a powerful message that spreads throughout the wilderness. From all corners of the ancient forest, smaller male pythons begin to appear. They part the water, gliding over the roots, drawn by the intoxicating scent like sleepwalkers. The males begin to surround the giant female, forming a classic mating ball of the Anaconda species. Their slippery bodies intertwine in a labyrinth. In the dark swamp, the feast of the species unfolds silently but intensely. After mating, the female is exhausted and hungry. To have enough energy to nourish the embryo, she may turn to attack and devour one of the males she just mated with. When the rainy season reaches its peak, the entire Pantanal region transforms into a vast blue ocean, erasing all traces of the old roads. Inside the anaconda's body, a cruel miracle unfolds. Throughout its 7-month pregnancy, it chooses to relinquish its predatory status and become a recluse, completely abstaining from food and drink. Unlike most other reptiles, the anaconda doesn't place its hopes on vulnerable eggs buried in the mud. It chooses a more arduous path, giving birth directly. In the middle of the water, the exhausted body of the giant mother begins violent contractions, releasing dozens of tiny creatures into the world. The baby snakes are not born in shelter. They emerge from the water, take their first breath, and immediately must equip themselves with predatory instincts to face lurking predators. While the Amazon River was still reeling from the aftershocks of the catastrophic birth, a chaotic cacophony of sounds erupted from downstream, tearing through the thick, oppressive atmosphere. It wasn't the roar of a leopard, nor the flick of a crocodile's tail. It was the howling, the shrill hissing, and the commanding gasp of a giant otter family. In a world where silence is the best disguise, the otters chose to make their appearance the loudest. They are the world's largest otters, true river wolves, reaching lengths of nearly 2 meters. They don't move alone. They move as a highly trained Special Forces unit, a microcosm operated by discipline and unwavering loyalty. In the dim sunlight, their short, thick, and smooth fur gleamed as if coated with oil, allowing them to glide through the water with zero drag. Each individual's unique identifying feature lies in the mottled white patches under their throats, a kind of natural fingerprint that helps members of the group recognize each other in the murky water. The playful frolic in the mud abruptly ends when the alpha male lets out a short, sharp hiss. Immediately, the members of the family simultaneously dive into the water, forming a perfect line like a Special Forces team. Their target was revealed. Possessing razor-sharp, triangular teeth and the ability to sniff out blood from hundreds of meters away, piranhas are known as the scythes of the water. They can devour a large prey in minutes, thanks to their incredibly strong bite, the strongest among bony fish. But today, the scenario was reversed. The terror-mongering creatures were now the targets in a carefully laid trap. You thought piranhas were the terror of the Amazon? As the encirclement closed, the Amazon waters truly boiled. There was no slow stalking, only speed and absolute brutality. The otters charged forward. The massacre ended as quickly as it began. The otters began to feast on their spoils. A distinctive sound rang out, drowning out the forest wind. The crunching sound of teeth crushing fish bones. Unlike other species that usually tear flesh apart, giant otters have a habit of eating from head to tail, gnawing voraciously even the toughest parts. Their eyes blaze with satisfaction, yet they remain constantly vigilant. The Otter Pack's piranha feast had just ended when a thick, ominous aura of death suddenly descended. The smell of fresh blood permeated the air, attracting not only scavengers, but also awakening the predators lurking nearby. From beneath the mangrove leaves hanging down to the water's surface, a gigantic dark shadow slowly emerged. In the wild, size usually dictates victory. But with giant otters, that rule is completely reversed. Instead of fleeing, the otters immediately reacted with a series of piercing shrieks, signaling a full-scale pack attack. They formed a battle array, surrounding the crocodile from all sides. The largest males lunged forward, harassing the caiman with lightning-fast bites to its tail and eyes. They used their superior agility to dive and spin, leaving the slow giant reeling in a cacophony of sounds. Could the Otter Pack's ultimate unity bring down the cornered predator? Or would the slightest mistake, a slow movement, cost the otters their lives against the caiman's primal power? As the last rays of the setting sun faded behind the ancient acacia trees, The commotion on the water began to subside into the rustling of the forest. The great battle of the hunters would perhaps never have a clear ending recorded. For in the Amazon, victory is sometimes simply about securing another breath for tomorrow. The river flowed on, carrying the bodies of the fallen and nourishing the newly emerging life. Today's might be tomorrow's prey. And it is this brutality that keeps the rhythm of the green hell constantly alive. If you are captivated by the realistic footage and dramatic survival stories of the wild world, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. That way you won't miss any breathtaking moments in our upcoming journeys.
The steppe was on fire. The little mongoose pack dared to challenge the death hunters. Would they still have a chance to return to their den? The little mongoose. The horrifying battle of the ferocious hunters. That afternoon, the afternoon when the dust was red like coal, the mongoose pack recklessly rushed into the edge of the mavuno herd, snatching away the food that the baboon had hunted. Naru led, Kimo locked his tail. The whole pack spread out into a fan of sand, biting and then bursting like a flock of small birds. The monkeys roared hoarsely. Their nails plowed the ground. Rocks flew behind them. But the delicious smell of meat lingered in the mongooses' throats. A short spoil, but enough for that night. In the black rock cavity, the children slept, back to back, their breaths warm like hot coals. Then the following days passed. The wind changed direction. The smell of the feast on their whiskers gradually dissipated like a trail of evaporated water. The stomach began to beat empty. The steppe was as dry as cracked leather, the wind blowing red dust into coils. In the rocky cave where the pack lived, the little ones huddled deep under their mother's fur, their eyes half open from hunger. Naru lay outside the cave mouth, his ears trembling slightly, his nose probing the wind. There was something mixed in the smell of the dust. A familiar, fatty scent. The smell of ostrich eggs drying in the Eastern Depression. He raised his head, his gaze silently glancing at Chemo. Without calling, the pack understood. Early tomorrow morning, they would leave the cave. As the sun rose, the light dyed the grass a grayish-yellow color, mixed with the smell of hot earth. The mongooses emerged from the cave. They moved in low waves, each one about a fathom apart, just enough to transmit signals through their tails. The young males went first, the two older ones flanked each other, and Chemo held the center position. The role of the opportunistic hunter. The pack recognized each other by scent, a unique scent secreted from glands under the tail, mixed with sand, colostrum, and sweat. Before each trip, they rubbed their bodies against each other, marking their flock in the wind. Thanks to that, in the middle of the steppe filled with the smell of earth and blood, with just a deep breath, they still knew who was their own kind and who was a stranger, keeping their formation as seamless as a single body. At the edge of the hollow, the smell of eggs became clearer, fat and warm, lingering nearby. Between the space and the ground, giant ostrich eggs lay in the sun, pale, white, and sparkling. No sound of wings, no shadow of a black neck. Temporarily safe. Chemo crawled low, belly almost touching the ground, each whisker touching the sand. One step. 2 steps. Sand squished very softly under his hooves. He pressed his nose to the outermost egg, the heat blowing on his lips. The flock had determined today's meal. They quickly touched the eggs and rolled away. Behind, one by one, one by one. But that peace only lasted for a breath. From afar, a black shadow rose in the sun. The mother ostrich stretched her neck like a whip, her wings spread wide, fanning the dirt and dust. A deep, thunderous roar sounded, the ground pounding with each stomp. At the edge of the valley, the sentry team discovered first. The little civet on the rock straightened its tail, signaling. Chemo stopped chewing, looked up, and caught the signal of its kind. Must retreat. Sand flew up like smoke. The small bodies curled up, retreating in a scattered formation. The ostrich rushed after it, its wings fanning the wind like a storm. Chemo rolled around, biting the slow-moving baby's fur collar, dragging it into the grass ditch. When they stopped behind the black rock, their breathing was rapid. Dust stuck to their feathers in faint gray streaks. No one had eaten their fill. Only regretful eyes remained. The little ones lived by knowing when to retreat. Day after day, hunger still chased them like a shadow that never left. In the world of mongooses, stopping means death. Their scent, a mixture of sand, sweat, and colostrum, can travel hundreds of meters on the wind. Stay too long, and predators, like leopards, snakes, and falcons, will follow. So once a week, the pack sets out, filling in old burrows, trailing footprints to confuse the direction. A noisy nest is dismantled and rebuilt in a matter of hours. Older animals dig. Younger ones carry their young in their mouths, moving inch by inch through the tall grass. Each new burrow is another start, and it is this mobility that keeps this tiny species alive in a grassland larger than its memory. But then the dry days came. The insects disappeared, the lizard eggs dried up, and the mongoose's bellies began to shrink. The cubs no longer had enough milk, and shrill cries echoed throughout the cave. Naru, the old leader, watched the pack silently, his coal-black eyes reflecting the moonlight. Something trembled in the breath of the pack, something between instinct and despair. That night, when everyone was asleep, Naru left the cave. No footsteps, only his scent fading on the wind. He headed west, to steep land and thick grass, where the venomous snakes had been. Their greatest enemy and most precious food. Snakes were as fast as lightning. Their venom could kill a young lion in minutes. But mongooses were one of the few creatures on the steppe who dared to confront them. Their bodies carried an invisible weapon. A natural resistance to poison. The acetylcholine receptors in their nerves have mutated over thousands of generations, making it impossible for snake venom to block muscles like other creatures. When bitten, they still feel pain, but not paralysis, not death, just a burning sensation that passes like a small burn. Their strength lies not in their size, but in their ability to stand up after a bite that others cannot bear. Naru crawled low, body pressed close to the ground. The heat from the sand smelled heavily of iron. Before their eyes, the black snake's shadow glistened like a strip of oily skin in the sun. The snake was resting, half its body wrapped around a grass root, its head raised slightly to catch the wind. A small mistake was enough to turn into a death sentence. But Naru had no choice. It moved step by step, each breath harmonizing with the wind. When the distance was only a few inches, the snake turned its head, its jet-black eyes reflecting a silver light. In that moment, the two rushed at each other. The snake rushed forward like a lightning bolt. Naru dodged, the bite grazed. It spun around, biting the snake's neck. The snake coiled its body, lashing like a whip. With a strong lashing, the snake jerked a few times, then lay still. It stood panting, its chest heaving. Its mouth still smelled of poison, but it did not kill it. In pain, Naru knew it had won. When the sun rose, the mongoose saw Naru return, dragging the snake's body as long as a silk ribbon. The young ones rushed out, their eyes shining, their chirping echoing across the dry land. The feast began, the sound of tearing flesh mixed with the rustling of sand. On the Serengeti steppe, where death lurked in every gust of wind, the mongoose's resistance to poison was not only in its blood, but also in the way it lived. Never surrendering, constantly trying its luck with things bigger than itself. The flock of weasels left the slope while the sun was still low. The ground was as cool as a rock that had just cooled down. Chemo walked ahead, his nose sliding in the wind. He could hear the sound of ants moving seeds in the ground. Behind him, the black and white stripes stretched out into a living chain. The pregnant one walked in the middle. The baby was held in the mother's belly fur. The young males held their wings. The old ones held their tails. Each position was a piece of the thin wall. That wall moved with each breath of wind, changed shape with each rustling sound of the grass. Not a single cry came out, only the breathing and the very soft sound of hooves touching the sand. They live by a clear division of labor. Every morning one climbs to the highest mound of earth, standing upright, eyes scanning in a circle. That is the guard. Below, the rest of the herd spreads out in a sawtooth row. Each one digs, pushes, shares what they find. Any food is shared, smoothly like a habit. The guard changes, shifts. The digger changes positions. The mother leaves the foraging circle to go into the thick shade to feed the cubs. The young males stand in the outer circle, eyes looking in the same direction. Everything in the herd operates by signals of the tail, by the angle of the back, by a deep breath, then a slow release, as if everything is written in the wind. The birthing season comes with the smell of moist soil. Chemo sniffs the old termite mounds and abandoned salamander holes. Places where the soil is loose, warm and dry. The herd digs diagonally, opens shallow doors to run, deep doors to sleep. Small nooks like blood vessels stuck in the ground. The cubs are born in the smell of fur and colostrum. Eyes not yet open, feet scratching the air like practice running in a dream. The flock has no single mother. They are a body with many hearts. The young of a mother will be raised by the whole pack. The young males will take turns holding them. The females without children will lie down and guard, pushing their bodies to block the wind. At night, the fur wraps tightly. The many breaths combine into one big rhythm. When one wakes up because of the hunger of its children, the others move closer. The first lesson of the children takes place in the sand. Chemo puts a beetle on the ground, uses his claws to scratch the shell, lets it run a distance, and then stops it. The children smell, lick, learn how to turn the prey so as not to be pinched. The chain of actions and consequences, the resistance of the pack helps them dare to touch things that others fear. But Caiman never lets the children try venom when they are young. He teaches by smell, by the place where his teeth are placed, by the safe distance between life and death. Each scratch of the sand is a writing of nature. The pack changes nests constantly, not because they like to move, but because smell is the best traitor. In just a week, the smell of colostrum and sweat will stick to the ground, imprinted on the grass, making a map for all hunters. They cover the old door with moist soil, dragging back footprints, pulling even the crushed grass back to stand, as if no one had ever breathed there. The days of little food, the nights of much hunger, the pace is still steady. Not noisy, not hurried, just at the right time, the right angle of the wind, the right distance between this animal and that animal. The step kills the strong when the strong is a beat slower. When reaching a denser area, the wild boar footprints are mixed with the honey badger's scratches. The pack does not avoid, nor does it approach. They go side by side. The wild boar digs for tubers, dragging along the nest of larvae and worms. The pack of civets picks up what is thrown out. A poor but safe meal. Sometimes a pig raises its head. Its nose trembles. Its eyes look over, then bends down again. The two species live close without touching. A kind of peace of those who live on the ground. When the sun rose and the air was thick, as if it had been molten, the wild boars rested in the shadows of the low acacia trees. Their large bodies were covered with dust, sweat mixing with the earth in dark patches on their skin, where flies and parasites gathered in clumps. The wild boars wheezed, eyes half closed, paying no attention to the small visitors creeping closer. From the edge of the dry grass, the mongooses crept out, light as a breeze. Chemo led the way, tail low, nose touching the ground and then lifting up in a few steps, measuring the distance between safety and opportunity. The wild boars recognized the scent, stirred slightly, but did not stand up. The small, agile creatures did not threaten, but sometimes brought a rare comfort in the blazing sun of the steppe. A young mongoose jumped onto the side of the pig, four paws clinging to the thick fur, mouth starting to search. It quickly bit a large bug that was clinging to the skin groove, crunched it like a dry grain, then continued to crawl down. Others followed, crawling around the belly, around the neck, around the base of the pig's ear, where the flies gathered the most. The wild boar relaxed its body, eyes closed, breathing deeply. Each time a civet bit, the itchy skin seemed to calm down. Occasionally, a large pig would turn over, exposing more of its back, as if inviting. The civets worked tirelessly, teeth picking, claws scratching. Each parasite removed and swallowed. The scene looked like a strange ritual between the giant and the small creature. One weighed hundreds of kilograms, could crush the other with a single stomp, while the other only weighed a few hundred grams, quick and skillful like a small stream. But between them existed a silent string, a kind of contract without words. The civets were fed, and the wild boar was left alone to stop itching. This relationship was maintained not by trust, but by instinct. Both sides understood each other's role on this unforgiving step. When the wild boars turned, the sand and dirt poured out of their folds. The weasels slid down, crawled into the shade between their giant legs, and continued to pick out the bugs in their claws. The clicking of their teeth mingled with the pigs' loud breathing. Many small weasels imitated Chemo, crawling up the backs of the wild boars as if playing, but still caught each tick, each bug. The wild boars did not chase them away, just twitched their ears as a reflex, and then lay still, tails flicking lightly, dust flying in thin wisps of smoke. The afternoon slanted, the sun gradually set. The pack of weasels retreated from the acacia shade, leaving behind the bodies of wild boars still lying still, their skins now clean of insects. Chemo looked back, the copper in his eyes reflecting the sparkling red dust. A full meal in exchange for a moment of peace for the big one. A silent agreement between the two species, witnessed by nature. When the boar's shadows lengthened, the pack of weasels returned to the hole where their cubs were waiting. The dry season lasted. Insects became scarce. The ground cracked, and milk dried up. Chemo adjusted his route, following the edge of the low grass, avoiding the wind traps and the open rocky areas where the falcons perched. He knew every distance between safety and death. The next afternoon, when the sun reached its zenith, the wild boars stirred, dust falling like a fine rain. An old one raised his head, sniffed hard. The wind carried the scent of a lion cub. His body tensed, his eyes turned to the swaying grass. At the same time, the pack of weasels stopped. Chemo tilted his head, his ears trembling, his tail held in a line. From the grass, a lion cub went exploring, its fur pale yellow, its steps clumsy, its eyes full of curiosity. The pack of weasels closed in a circle, hissing lowly, dust rising like small waves. The young lion stopped and ran away. In the hot sun, the weasels stood on the mound of earth, their chests heaving, their eyes shining. The victory of the little ones who knew how to join forces. After the danger was gone, life returned to its old rhythm. The weasels dispersed, moving in small groups to find prey. The sunlight slanted through the grass, the golden light cutting into the moving stripes of fur. Chemo led the group of cubs towards the acacia roots, where the ground smelled of moist insects. The other females went in the opposite direction to find pupae in the rotten tree roots. Each small cry from afar was transmitted through the air like an invisible signal. The sand underfoot warmed like coal, the heat seeping through each whisker. The whole pack worked in silence. Only the sound of claws scratching the ground and the steady sound of falling sand. Chemo crouched low. Behind them, the cubs rolled on the sand, making a tiny sound. But while the pack was still spread out in a long strip, a young male broke away from the line. He walked further, over a low mound of earth, unaware that between the grass stalks on the other side, the yellow eyes of the leopard were watching. The leopard did not make a sound. The grass trembled slightly. A large yellow spot, streaked with black, broke free from the ground, darting forward like an arrow. Everything happened in an instant. The mongoose had not yet turned its head. A strong pounce, a claw hit. The ground flew up. A faint hiss rang out, and then died. The pack of mongoose stood still. No cry, no run. Only their eyes followed as the big beast bit its own kind and disappeared into the grass. Chemo remained standing, eyes empty, knowing that the pack had to continue. One was lost, but the formation had to be maintained. The afternoon fell. The red sunlight spread like thin smoke on the ground. The mongoose followed one another back to the cave, their back stripes blending into the grass. In this harsh place, the strong survive by weight. The small live by intelligence and cohesion. The mongoose, small but resilient, continues to write its survival story quietly, stubbornly, and steadfastly like the land that gave birth to them. What do you think about the courage of these small creatures? Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and turn on the notification bell to join us in exploring the next survival journey, where every breath is a fight to keep alive.